Hello everyone, today I'm going to be testing out a Megalith deck that I got off of the internet, and it's because of a YouTuber who said that it is a pretty viable deck. He also said that it was going to be a kind of cheap deck to use, and today I thought that I would try to not build it because I found the deck profile online, but I thought I would test out a specific deck profile. Today I'm going to be playing against cubic monsters with my, well, not mine, but with the Megalith deck that I found online. This deck is definitely a new type of archetype for me. I have never really used the ritual monsters before. I've never also really used Megalith monsters before. My only real encounter with them would be uh, something like a Dark Magician or Chaos Max Dragon Blue Eyes deck. Otherwise, I have not really played with or against ritual monsters. So my opponent had told me through the Dueling Nexus chat that they bricked hard with their hand, and that kind of gave me advantage. But at the same time, they opened up with two Ash Blossom, which was bad for me because I was not able to draw cards or add cards from my deck to my hand, which was kind of unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it was okay because I was still able to get my some of my big ritual monsters out. Uh, so one of the kind of major things against cubic monsters is that they are able to uh, deal a whole bunch of burn damage, or at least in my opinion, is a bunch of burn damage. And something that I found that the Megaliths were really good at was getting monsters either into the graveyard or into your hand so that you can either ritual summon them or use them for ritual summoning. My trap card right here is a great card to have in, or even though it's a once per turn and only once per turn type trap card. It's really great because you can banish any Megalith card, or well, not card, any Megalith ritual monster, and you can ritual summon the very next turn, even on your opponent's turn. So you can use the one Megalith that can blow up your opponent's field, depending on how many ritual monsters you have in the graveyard during their turn, which was I thought was an amazing idea, but I did not think about it at the time because I was still trying to figure out the deck. Because prior to this, this was I've only played this deck once, so I still did not know anything about what was going on with it. Like I said, I am still fairly new to the ritual monsters. Uh, I know that ritual monsters have been around since I don't know some of the very first packs of Yu-Gi-Oh, but it never really caught my attention for some reason. I will also say that my opponent was a really good sport about it. They did not, um, they didn't just up and quit or surrender or anything, which I thought was pretty cool. I know that some people, they get a brick hand and they instantly just, get out the game. Another thing is that my opponent, they had a really good combo here, and if they wouldn't have taken 3,000 damage at the end of their turn, then I'm pretty sure that they could have had a pretty big comeback. But unfortunately, because of how their cubic monster works, they lost the duel due to effect damage, which was unfortunate. This was, it just a card game at the end of the day. But at the same time, you kind of build strategies. It's like a strategic yet really uh, in-depth game, all at the same time. But either way, my opponent was really cool about it. Uh, they pulled off some really interesting plays, like the Ash Blossom, like I said before. And yeah, I didn't use the trap card to its full extent like I probably should have, but at the same time, I mean, at the end of the day, it's completely fine. Um, my opponent was able to get rid of two of my monsters, like how I always said. They most likely would have been able to have a comeback if their monster did not have that mandatory effect of 3,000 damage at the end phase. Maybe if they would opened up with it, then it would have been a little different. I'm not sure, but end of the day, it was a win. Um, and yeah, so that does it for the first duel, and on to the next one. Okay, so this next duel is going to be another very interesting one. I believe this is my first loss using this deck, so uh, 2 out of 3, pretty decent. At least for not really knowing what to do. I'm not entirely sure though. But this is going to be Necro Valley versus Megalith. Necro Valley is also a really good counter for this deck, as one of the cards in Megalith allows you to get a card from your graveyard and add it to your hand, or put it in your deck. You can also, I believe, ritual summon from the no. You can select a monster in your graveyard and ritual summon it onto the field, and you also have another card that allows you to special summon a Megalith monster from the graveyard. So it's a really interesting matchup, because I know what Necro Valley does, but at the same time, I was trying to work my way around it. I also kind of bricked, not too hard. I was able to kind of get through a little bit of it, but all in all, this was a really good duel. I also hope that my opponent had a good time going against the Megaliths. You can see that I kind of messed up here. I used the wrong ritual monster. I activated his effect and sent him to the graveyard to special summon, or not special summon, ritual summon uh, the wrong ritual monster. I should have brought out the one that can destroy my opponent's cards to the number of ritual monsters in my graveyard, but at the same time, it really wouldn't have made a difference. I only would have been able to destroy one card, and that's okay. Live and learn. But I kind of wish I would have done it differently now that I know a little bit more about it. But that's okay. This was a learning experience for me, and I wanted to show you all how and what I learned from it. I also like to say that this is actually a pretty powerful deck. As I stated before, I kind of picked this up because of a YouTuber saying that it was a viable option for competitive. I think that I definitely could have done better in the duel. Uh, but yeah, let's see what my opponent has to counter. I'm pretty sure he has infinite impermanence. I'm not too sure though.
Alright everyone, so for this next duel is going to be Megalith versus Dinosaurs, and it's going to be an interesting matchup because my opponent goes first and then they activate their field spell, they activate Golden Sarcophagus, and they're going to banish their Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, which is a great move on their part because they can get him out with relative ease, and they also set 2 cards face down. On my turn, I try to do some incantations, I believe is what they're called. I try to get monsters on the field, as many as possible, really, so that I can potentially get some more plays going. I don't have a whole bunch of the ritual monsters in my hand, at least not at the moment, but that's okay because I have the trap card down, which can, I believe, special summon from the graveyard, or at least ritual summon from the graveyard. If it's not that one, then it's the one that banishes, and then I can ritual summon using it. I did try to use Pot of Extravagance here because I was not sure about its effect for whatever reason, but since I had already searched with no, since I've already drawn, I believe, with the ritual monster to have on the field right now, I could not draw again, or maybe it was search or something. But Power Extravagance was not useful in this moment. I was able to use it in my next turn. However, I didn't really try to attack my opponent right now. The next thing my opponent does is attack my 0 defense point monster with their petite dinosaur, which that's a good thing to do because I could have potentially gotten some more plays off with it or from it, because I believe it's a level 6 monster. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, it's a level 6. And so now I'm going to use the Pot of Extravagance. Honestly, the extra deck, I have not used it once since I tried this deck out. I know you can probably use it. There's probably some really good cards in there. But at the end of the day, I'm really just relying on my boss monster that's in my hand right now that I just summoned, because that monster can make all of your ritual monsters, or maybe your megalith monsters, on the field really big for all of the megalith monster ritual cards that are in your graveyard. So it can make your monsters pretty like beat stick worthy. They're gonna use fossil dig or fossil excavation. I'm not sure, but they get their soul eating overraptor out, which is a great move on them, uh, because then they get a token onto my field, and then something kind of confusing happens uh, right after they summon their ultimate conductor Tyranno, because it seems as though they sent him to the graveyard for some reason. But I try to pop off real quick so that I can get a monster into the graveyard so that I can potentially get him out next play. But then, like, he just sends his ultimate conductor and he ends the duel. And that's it for the dinosaurs. Alrighty, so for this next duel, it's going to be Megalith versus King Tiger Wangu. And normally, I don't think that, you know, you would have to really worry about King Tiger Wangu. But for how I played, at least in the beginning, I was kind of like at a disadvantage because all of my monsters seem to always succumb to its effect, which is kind of unfortunate. But at the same time, I found a way around it towards the end. But right now, I was attempting to use my monster's effect, but I realized that I had actually done the wrong effect, and it I thought that I had added the one megalith monster that could destroy his cards whenever it's summoned or ritual summoned, but I instead got the wrong one, and he wound up using Mirror Force, which is a very classic card, and he also activates Wonder Balloon and then Pod of Duality, both of which are pretty awesome cards. So what his goal is right now is to lower my monster's attack points as much as possible and as quickly as possible, so that there's no way that I could get a big monster on the field, because how the Pumpkin Princess, I believe is what it's called, and how the Wonder Balloons work is as soon as a monster is just summoned onto the field, they already lost those attack points. There's no like uh, other than a monster having just high attack points in general. There's no real way of having those monsters like that I summon with high attack whatsoever. Um, so I'm trying to search for a really decent monster to get out if possible. And I'm contemplating using this spell card. I can ritual summon a ritual monster from my deck, I believe. But I, for whatever reason, choose not to do that, and I don't really know why. I feel like it could have came in handy right here, but I decided to let it sit and try not to use it. I feel like this is a really important card to use, especially if you want to save your life points. But at the same time, I felt like maybe, just maybe I could draw that card that I need. Just one card. I just need that one card. But come to find out that I don't really get the card that I'm trying to get. So I do wind up using my spell card to bring out a ritual monster from my deck to the field. But it does not go as planned, and it gets immediately destroyed by King Tiger Wengu. And now I'm trying to think, like, okay, so what else can I do? Maybe I should try to wait and stall for another card. I'm getting pretty low on life points. With this next attack, I'm less than halfway through. And then I finally get a really, really good card. For those of you who don't know, this card will send a ritual monster from my deck to the banish zone. And then next turn, I can ritual summon it using cards either on my field or in my hand as material, whose level equals or exceeds that monster's level. So what I do is I ritual summon the monster, and it's the one that can blow up my opponent's cards. And in doing so, I tried to target his back row first, and then his King Tiger Wengu, because he has a trap card that makes it to where once per battle or once per turn, if it would be destroyed by, I think, battle or card effect, it is not destroyed. So I was trying to get rid of that one first and then go for it, because I didn't really understand if my monster's effect was a chain effect or if it would just pop everything in one go. But I do manage to get my big boss monster out, who boosts the attack of my ritual monsters. And then I do also manage to get rid of his King Tiger Wengu, which is great because now all he can really do is try to lower my monster's attack as much as possible. But it does not appear that he's able to do so right at this moment. He does, however, get a monster that lowers my monster's level attack by their level, which is cool, but it's unfortunately not enough to finish me off. I would like to commend my opponent for being a good sport and not surrendering. I had a great time during this duel, and I learned a lot about this this duel, and about my archetype. And I learned that there's a lot that you can do with Megalith, especially like there's a lot that you can do against like stuff that kind of counters I guess low level monsters, especially in the beginning. And I would like to say I did manage to finish off my opponent using my I want to say it's my boss monster, mostly because the card gives you a really big boost of attack. And I told my opponent GG. They said GG back. And all in all, this was also a really good duel.